you might know the Marcazzini name. We've had a long association with, serving architects for many, many years. My father was the founder of Italtile, and he opened Italtile Cape many, many years ago when I was still in high school. And we opened the first warehouse in our garage in Wynberg, right next to the hockey court. So I used to go around with him, and we used to visit architects and show them the wonderful range of ceramic tiles that he was importing. And from there on he became Italtile grew from strength to strength and became a massive company, which today is a listed company. I was in the Navy as well, and I just finished my university, and I said to my dad, come on, let's open up a supermarket for tiles. And we did. We opened a company called Ceramic Tile Markets at CTM. I was the actual founder of that concept. I set up the very first store in Brackenfell. I did my business science thesis on it, or my master's on it, and even my MBA I did on how to actually franchise out the ceramic tile concept. And that has also exploded. But you might wonder what am I doing here in this wonderful world of H2O? After I finished the Navy, I had a hard choice. I worked for Italtile for a few years, and then was living in Johannesburg, decided to relocate to Cape Town, and decided to open my own business. I said, Dad, you had a chance to open and do something from scratch. I'd like to do the same. He was very cross with me because at that stage he opened up another company. That was about 5 years after he retired from Italtile. He opened a company called Italkoto, or Kalore, which you might know as well. They stock a wide range of ceramic tiles and fireplaces, the Piazzetta fireplaces. So I decided to go my own way. My brothers and sisters are all still in the business. If you know the Herzog Boulevard or Christian Barnard Street, they were on the corner there, and they're just relocating now to Pardon Island. So that's a bit about me, but we're not here to talk about me. I just want to thank you for being here this evening and taking the time out. I know it's very, very precious time. And we hope that you leave after this evening with a rich knowledge of what you can do in your buildings in terms of creating green buildings, as well as creating or protecting the buildings from a lot of the contaminants that are coming through, no matter where your building is situated. So firstly, I'd just like to welcome, introduce my franchisees. We've got 45 franchises throughout Southern Africa. I'm the franchisor. We're based in Westlake Business Park in Tokai, and from there we distribute to a whole network of franchises. Lindy, would you like to stand up? Lindy's dad joined me in 1993 when we just started the business, and he was one of our first franchisees, and now Lindy, his daughter, has taken over the operation and running of the franchise. Lindy, tell us a bit about the projects that you've done.
Okay, well, if you know, any of you know my father, some of you do. He's up country at the moment, so he's just given me something to prepare that I'd just like to read to the audience. Thank you, Tony. As you know, my name is Lindy. My father, Chris Lemesurier, joined Tony in his venture way back in 1993 to help Tony further his vision of bringing a water culture to South Africa, such as it exists in Europe. We have three core bases that we focus on as a franchise. Bespoke residential homes along the Atlantic seaboard, stretching from Hart Bay all the way down to the City Bowl. We do commercial properties such as the wonderful #1 Silo Allen Gray building at the V&A waterfront, the first ever 6-star rated building in South Africa by the Green Building Council of SA.
Lindy,
sorry,
come up here.
Should I come to
Lindy,
the
yeah.
front? Sorry. That's probably better.
No problem.
It's okay. So you're going to stand next to me.
All right. Thank you.
Lindy's from the Atlantic seaboard.
All right, so then we're just going through the core customer bases that we serve as a franchise. Commercial properties such as the Allen Gray Silo building at the V&A waterfront, the first ever 6-star rated building in South Africa by the Green Building Council. The newly renovated Truworths call centre is another one at the Plain Park building in the heart of the City Bowl. And of course the ever impressive convention towers where Weber Wenzel's offices reside, just to name a few of our commercial properties and buildings that we have done work with in the past and present. We also have a special projects focus for establishments, whether it be private or commercial, that require raw water treatment systems for environment-saving projects. This is for use for groundwater and rainwater water, such as Tony's going to be talking about a bit today in his presentation. We've got a good couple of clients that are technically off the grid with such systems in place. With all 3 customer projects, there's one cardinal rule that Chris would like to stress today, and that is the importance of not cutting corners and planning early. Retrofits can be achieved, as they often are, but have you ever experienced the exasperation of a building contractor who has to redo a wall just to accommodate a water boiler? Or perhaps closer to home, a client who insists that planning should have included the water pipe here or ventilation there. To achieve the best fit for all, it is wise to consult with the client, the builder and the H2O agent early on in the project planning and budgeting stage. That way, a partnership is formed that goes way beyond the simple supplier relationship for the ultimate long-term satisfaction of the client. Also, an after-sales relationship is then cemented to obviate the client bugging the architect once the project is complete. So that's just a little bit about us. We also have a large raw water treatment division. And yeah, I think Tony's going to elaborate a bit more on the water side of things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lindy. Okay, if you drive to Builders Warehouse in Somerset West, you'll see our operation on that road that takes you to Builders Warehouse. John Dougherty is our franchisee for the Helderberg area. John, do you want to come say a few words, or you okay?
Yeah. Hi everybody. Yeah, I'm John from H2O in Somerset West. We have been in operation since 2006, and as Lindy has pointed out, we've got various divisions, as in our water delivery and rental market. Of course, then we've got our product sales, our retail shop, and then our purification sort of plant division. So absolutely, I've got business cards which I can present to you, and feel free to, well, we can chat afterwards.
Okay.
Thank you. Cheers.
So if you've got a project going in the Somerset West or the Helderberg region, John Dougherty is your man to contact. Tyne from Bloberg, H2O Bloberg, you might have seen our store in Canal Walk that's been there for many, many years. So when Canal Walk opened, we were one of the first stores to open. Tyne, do you want to say anything? You okay? Okay. Mike stays in the franchisee for Canal Walk, has also been with me for over 20 years. And he's built up a very, very nice business servicing and supplying the Bloberg West Coast region as well. So they're just a few of our franchisees. We've got very, very high caliber franchisees. And yes, that's what brings me to BWT. BWT approached H2O International about 2 years ago and said, Tony, we like what you've done, love this distribution network. We're coming to South Africa. You're going to be with us or against us. And they're an absolute giant when it comes to the water treatment industry. They're the number one company in Europe. You might have seen their cars going around the Formula One with Sergio Perez, the driver, and Lance Stroll. And last week, Hulkenberg came from 20th up to 8th position. So they're getting a lot of publicity through their sports sponsorships. They sponsor lots of sports. They also sponsor a program which is actually taking hydrogen propulsion and trying to develop technology that is going to be used in commercial vehicles as well. So they invest a lot in that as well. So they approached us, and they also approached a company called CWC. CWC is based in Johannesburg. They've been around for 40 years. Their specialization is to actually take a container and put a water treatment plant in the container and ship it through Africa. So they do the bigger commercial projects. We were in the more the domestic dispensing end of the market, whereas CWC, so it was a perfect marriage. BWT in Germany, Austria, and H2O and CWC. We are now one group working very, very closely together to bring the best products in the world to the South African market, as well as the most competitively priced products as well. BWT have a massive manufacturing capabilities. They have factories all over the world. One factory which is in the Ukraine, which I visited just before lockdown, absolutely blew me away. They have all the machinery to manufacture everything that's needed, from sediment filters to carbon block filters, housings, and they do it at a very, very competitively priced. And being part of the group, we can now bring these products, and virtually anyone that's looking to clean their water has got a product at the price point that they can afford. All right, so that's just a little bit of a background on the group that is here to service the architects and to support you. There's a very, very strong backup and support structure. Okay. I want to introduce you to Giovanni. Giovanni's my son. He finished his BCon a couple of years ago, and he's now assisting us with the marketing and the sales, and visiting architects as well to assist with projects. So Giovanni, over to you.
Thank you very much. So today I'll be going through a PowerPoint which will explain the best ways to achieve potable water, to achieve water hygiene, and to go through water safety. We just want to play you a video of what H2O International stands for prior to our takeover by BWT Group, just so that you can understand the product and how it works and what we have tried to achieve for households since 1994.
H2O International is South Africa's leading supplier of world.
Could we just get the speaker to play, please? Thank you. Sorry about that.
Everybody wondering how this bloke is going to make it work proper.
So right now it's just playing through the speaker of the laptop.
Oh, jeez.
I think we need Kolani.
Should have done this.
Yeah.
We should have done this. Can you play it?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Class water purifications.
Let's just hold on a second.
Might not be sending.
Let me just try and get it through. Sorry guys, just one moment.
Or hold the lapel.
Close to the speaker.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just try one more thing. Is it Epsom or Airbeam? Epsom.
Epsom.
Okay, let's try that now.
H2O International is South Africa's leading supplier of world-class water purification systems. Since 1994, we've been producing and supplying water purification products to protect you and your family from a vast array of harmful contaminants that are commonly found in municipal tap water. H2O's purifiers are the only water purifiers in the country to contain the proprietary GAC KDF rhyolite processed media, which guarantees great tasting water of the finest quality. Let me show you how our unique multi-stage water purification system works. As your tap water enters the filter, its first point of contact is a 5-micron filter pad, which protects the purifier from fine sediment and blocks any particles larger than 5 micron in size. It then gently passes through a thick bed of KDF, a highly patented copper-zinc alloy media that significantly removes iron, aluminium, sulfur, as well as heavy metals like lead, mercury, and arsenic. The KDF media bed handles the bulk of the work and significantly extends the operating life of the carbon within the water purifier. Apart from its superior heavy metal removal capability, KDF HDF also removes a significant amount of harmful chemicals by creating an oxidation reduction reaction which converts these chemicals into harmless compounds. This oxidation reduction reaction creates an electromagnetic field within the media bed, which inhibits the reproduction of any harmful bacteria, fungi, or algae within the purifier. This process renders the purifier completely bacteriostatic. The next point of contact is the coconut shell granular activated carbon, or GAC for short. The GAC works by absorbing and removing a wide variety of harmful chemical compounds commonly used in municipal water treatment, like chlorine, disinfectant byproducts, as well as many unwanted industrial and agricultural chemicals, which inadvertently enter our water supplies post-treatment due to declining infrastructure. GAC not only removes these and many other toxic chemicals, but it also traps any unwanted organic material and polishes the water, improving the taste, color, and odor. Mixed into the GAC is rhyolite. Rhyolite is a unique H2O International formula that contains beneficial mineral components that get slowly released into the water, making it slightly more alkaline and very pleasant to taste. At the very top of the GAC media bed is a layer of silver impregnated granular activated carbon. Since Roman times, silver has been known and used for its natural disinfecting properties, and this layer is added specifically to kill any harmful bacteria that might enter and contaminate the water purifier from water flowing back into the unit. The last point of contact is another 5-micron filter pad, which prevents any carbon granules from being released into your glass of water. During H2O International's last 2 decades of proudly servicing and supplying the South African market, many scientific institutions have tested the contaminant removal capabilities of our tried and tested media bed, and each time have published outstanding results for performance and purity. Give your family the very best. Drink the finest purified water straight from the tap, safe in the knowledge that every drop is 100% purified and processed by H2O International SA.
So this is our hero, the US4, and gets installed underneath the kitchen sink. You might have come across this in the homes that you've had a look at. This can be connected directly to your faucet, so you don't need an extra faucet. So you've got a prick bowl, you can go straight to your prick bowl tap. Some people want a black tap, some people want something unique and they don't want an extra tap on their counter. This particular unit can be installed in line under your kitchen sink and does 136,000 liters. So you're looking at replacing this cartridge between 4 and 6 years. So very, very economical, very cost effective, and we've installed hundreds of thousands of these throughout South Africa. This is a really popular unit. This is just one of the units. Thanks, Gio.
Thank you. So the agenda for today, we're going to be dealing with 4 sections. Section 1, we're going to be dealing with identifying the contaminants in our water. So when you're building at a site, you would like to identify the contaminants in that water in order to be able to carry out your projects and understand whether, for example, there's too much iron in your water, too much manganese, but we'll be getting more on that later. So we want to select the parameters that need treatment to comply with the drinking water standards. Section 2, once we've identified those contaminants, we will be selecting our treatment train, where we develop a process train to treat contaminants to produce potable water. Section 3, taking that rainwater that we have in our JoJo tanks and identifying whether that water is potable and achieving tank hygiene. Section 4, how to create bottle-free zones. So we want to get rid of those single-use plastic bottles and create green buildings. So first of all, we want to identify what is potable water. Essentially, potable water is water that is safe to drink. That doesn't mean that the water is pure, because pure water only contains H2O molecules. Potable water often contains some dissolved substances, such as heavy metals, chlorines, as well as silt and other substances. Although it may be potable, it may still contain those unwanted substances that you would like to remove. I like to put potable water into 3 criteria. 1, the levels of dissolved substances needs to be fairly low in your water. 2, we want the pH levels to be between 6 and 9. 3, we do not want to have any microorganisms such as bacteria found in the water. So where do we get potable water? Most countries do have a reasonable supply of fresh water because we get an amazing source of rainfall. And that rainfall is collected into surface water or groundwater. Surface water are things such as your lakes, your reservoirs, your rivers, bodies of water that is essentially exposed to at a surface, and your groundwater is water that is collected and are caught up in aquifers. Aquifers are areas of permeable rock which trap water. If we were to look at the diagram on the bottom left, you'll see there's an artesian well drilled into your aquifer, and those are also known as boorgats or boreholes. And essentially, we're very familiar with those. So, would you like to say something on the borehole water?
Yeah, we've got a beautiful aquifer here in Cape Town, just underneath, that stretches from Somerset West right up to Table Mountain. But the problem is that we've got a massive squatter camp on top of it, and it is causing problems. So don't assume that the aquifer water is pure. You still have to test that aquifer, that borehole. And also don't assume because you have one borehole that is free of contaminants, that another one a kilometer away from it is also free. You have to test each and every single borehole, because the borehole depth is a factor, the water table depth is a factor, and all these things could contribute to a different level of contaminants being present in that water.
So how do we achieve potable water? So we'll have to take that water and analyze it in a laboratory to determine the concentrations of contaminants that may be harmful to your human health and to your equipment that has water flowing through it. So we need to take each contaminant and consider them individually, and then take and give it the appropriate treatment train. The South African national standards for drinking water can be used to determine whether your water is potable. They have divided up into 3 main categories: your microbiological, your physical, aesthetic, and operational, as well as your chemical contaminants within your water. Okay, here's the national drinking water standard. If we were to look at it, it's divided up into 4 columns. You've got your parameter of the contaminants that are being tested, your units of measurement, your risk, which identifies which category it is, and your limit. So if we were to look at your pH, we want that limit, that pH when tested, to be between 5 and 9.7. If you were to look at your free chlorine, anything above 5 we would like to remove or reduce to levels below 5.
Also with lead, I mean, plumbers are called loodgieters because in the olden days they used to use lead to solder the pipes together. Now if you're renovating an old home, that's one thing you really have to look at. Is there lead coming through into the drinking water? Because it's going to make the occupants sick. When we first opened our very first store in the Riverside Centre, we had a Professor Brian Davies who used to lecture on environmental studies at UCT. And his wife got really ill, and he had his water tested only to find that he had lead in his water. And it was an old house very close to the Riverside Centre, and that lead was leaching off the piping into his drinking water. So he put in a whole house multi-stage filter, and his problem was solved. Okay, so where do we analyze the water? Say you've got your site, you want to see exactly what's going on with the water on the site. There's a laboratory called Aquatico that's accredited. It's based in Centurion. I've been to see the laboratory. It's absolutely mind-blowing. They test water for all sorts of applications, for mines, for industry. So what will happen, just a second here. is they will send you a box like this. You request a water analysis, and they will send you a box together with instructions of exactly how to take a water sample. Right? They will then pick it up as soon as you've done the water sample, and very important is to fill in the information and give them as much information as possible. What the application is, what the flow rate is, what the house is going to be used for, is it a building, is it a, give them as much information as possible so they can do a proper analysis for you. It'll cost around roughly 2,000 Rand for the water analysis, but as I said to everyone, is that rather be safe than sorry. Prevention is better than cure. Spend that 2,000 Rand. Get to know what you're dealing with in terms of water quality when you're putting up a house. You might be building a development up the west coast. You might be having a holiday house in Shelley Beach. You've got to know what's going on with the water, because the water quality varies drastically from area to area. And you look at Pretoria, for instance, there's so many different pockets of water quality. You've got to know, if you're in the city centre, you are going to have a lot of calcium and magnesium in that water, and it's going to cause a scale buildup. So wherever your project is, get that water analysed.
So this is a typical water analysis. In your test report, you will have your contaminants on your left, your unit of measurement, and the results of your water analysis compared to the SANS standard of measurement. So you'll be able to see what contaminants are above the limit for SANS or below. And there, by identifying your contaminants that need treatment, you'll be able to carry out the correct treatment train for your area.
Okay, being part of CWC, we've got engineers, we've got a doctor in water technology who's able to take the water analysis and actually specify.
Points installing these beautiful porcelain dishes and everything like that, and your sinks, when there's just a lot of manganese and iron in your water, and it just ruins all your hard work in getting all those things into your dishes and your porcelain in there. Your hardness, I'm sure that you're well aware of hardness at the bottom of your kettles, where you see that brownish stuff form, and that's scale buildup, and it can be from your pipelines going into your geysers, your washing machines, and also leads to dry skin and hair. It's something that we try to remove or reduce in water, and even that scale buildup, as you can see in the top left corner on your heating element. Even 1 millimeter of scale buildup can lead to your electricity usage increasing by 20%. We look at corrosivity in the water. As you can see in the bottom left corner, corrosivity leads to your corrosion in your piping, as well as pitting in the water, which is the holes that you can see there.
Without drought, a lot of people drill boreholes, and a lot of people put that water straight into their homes. Those people are going to have problems if they don't treat that water and increase the alkalinity of the water, because it will corrode the pipes and the fittings. Okay, now we look at the water purification guide. So how do we take all these particles in the water and remove it from the water? So we look at a micron guide. As you can see, there's a scale that shows your micron level. We have your hair, which shows the size of 15 to 50 micron size. Hair follicle.
Sorry, a hair follicle. And as you can see, if you take your 100 micron to your 10, you're removing some bacteria, pollen, sand, which is that circle in the top left there. And if you go from 10 to 1 microns, you start removing most of your bacterias, as well as the turbidity. Remember I said turbidity was the brownness in your water. But as soon as you go below 1 micron, you're removing your viruses, your bacteria, and if you go to the extremes of reverse osmosis, which I will touch on a bit later, you'll pretty much be removing your hormones, your viruses and bacteria, pretty much everything out of your water. That's just a bigger picture of it, so you can see what particles can be removed. Okay, so now we look at treatment systems for all these categories to remove your microbiological particles in your water, we look at disinfection. Disinfection, we can do 4 things for disinfection: ozone, chlorine, adding chlorine, ultraviolet rays, and as well as ultrafiltration. Ozone is when you pump gas into your water, which kills your bacteria. Chlorine is adding chemicals to kill your bacteria in your water. Ultraviolet is when you put ultraviolet rays on your bacteria, you disrupt the DNA of the bacteria, as you can see on the left-hand side there. And ultrafiltration is essentially a filter with an incredibly small micron size to trap your bacteria as well as your viruses in your water.
Right, let's move on to the next section, which is removing sediment, sand, rust and silt out of the water. And in Europe, it's obligatory that you install a point of entry filter. Let me just show you the most popular one from BWT. Just a second. So this unit is your point of entry filter. It will remove any particles bigger than 90 micron. You do have a sediment filter of 30 micron as well. You can choose between 30 or 90. And it's very, very easy to install. Just after the water meter, this gets installed. Why it's so popular is it's so easy to change the cartridge. There you go. You change the cartridge. Anybody can change a cartridge within a couple of seconds. It's extremely hygienic. They ask you to replace the cartridge. Some people just wash it out if there's just a little bit of sediment, but this saves your appliances in your house. So think of your geyser clogging up, think of your taps, your beautiful new taps that you've spent thousands of rands on wearing away and starting to leak. Think of your geyser, not your geyser, your system, and the water's running. One of the reasons why they insist on a point of entry filter is to save water. Because if you have a toilet running, you know how much water you actually waste. So get rid of the small particles and you will have less hassles in your home. And it's so easy to install, and it's also going to protect everything down the line, whether it's your washing machine, your dishwasher, the works.
Okay, we move on to removing total organic content in the water. We have granular activated carbon, which can remove your chlorines in your water, as well as improve the taste, color, and odor of your water. Those cartridges there, that black cartridge gets installed into that vessel and is run in line with your water to remove those contaminants.
So carbon, as you know, if you look at the particle of the carbon particle, you'll find it's very, very porous. 1 teaspoon of carbon is equivalent to 1 football field. So it has an incredible ability to actually remove chemicals out of the water, like chlorine.
So my dad showed you the E1 point of entry filter. We have a beautiful video which describes the filter perfectly. Moving on. So we have more water treatment methods for other contaminants, such as your nitrates, your total dissolved solids, conductivity and corrosivity. So we're looking at a water treatment system called reverse osmosis. It's reverse osmosis, as shown in the diagram on the left, is when you push your salt water through a tiny, tiny membrane. Essentially, it's 0.002 micron membrane. And what comes out is fresh water free of unwanted contaminants. And in fact, all contaminants, because your micron level is so low.
A lot of people are concerned that if that water is ultra pure. What you can do is remineralize it after it's been through the reverse osmosis process. Okay.
Okay, removing your nitrates, we have two options of water treatment. We have an ion exchange resin which removes your nitrates out of the water, as well as we can use reverse osmosis to take those nitrates out the water. For total dissolved solids, we have a very strong industrial system shown there, which removes all your unwanted contaminants in your water, as well as salts, chlorine, manganese, ions, everything you can imagine. And to reduce corrosivity in your water, we can remineralize the water and adjust the pH by using an aquasab, calcite, inline mineralizing systems, and sodium hydroxide dosing.
So if you can imagine a massive canister full of dolomite chips, as the water passes through and it's circulated constantly, it actually takes off the calcite. So it's actually dosing the water and increasing the pH. What's very, very important is that that water must circulate. Just a once through a small canister won't really do the trick. Okay. What do we want to next? All right, so also to remove iron and manganese. Iron, you see people drilling boreholes and they've got their beautiful walls, they built a beautiful new house and their walls are brown. They say, how can we get rid of that brown water? That's the iron in the water. What you'll also notice is that your garden doesn't flourish. Why? Because the iron actually coats the leaf of the plant and actually prevents the leaf from transpiring, and it dies. Okay, so people are very keen to remove the iron from the water, not only to prevent the staining on the walls, but also to make their plants flourish.
And speak about the water softener system installed in Shelley Beach.
Here's an example of a water softener that was installed in a factory in the south coast of KZN. It's a factory that manufactures clothing for Woolworths, and they have a lot of steam irons. And these steam irons get clogged up with the calcium in the water. So in that case, we had to remove the calcium out of the water using a water softening device.
Here's another video just explaining the water softening process, specifically of that system shown in that picture over there.
So you can see why BWT are so successful. The quality of their products are unbelievable. With their engineering, their technology, and in Europe the water is very, very hard. If you go to England, if you go to Italy, if you go to Austria, the water is really, really hard. So everybody's got a water softener, and everybody knows what luxury water is all about. Okay? So when they come to South Africa, they will ask you, can we install a water softener? Not so important on the coast, but anything over the H2O mountain, you will need a water softener. You will need to take out that calcium and magnesium. They will feel it on their skin. Immediately their skin will be rough. Their towels won't be fluffy like they used to in Europe, and their linen will be much harder. So that's what we call luxury water. It's something over and above to make the water so special, not only pure but free of calcium and magnesium that not only scales up your pipes and causes problems with your shower heads and your plumbing, but also makes the water really, really special. When you in the bath and you lather your soap, it lathers beautifully. Hard water, it doesn't lather at all. You've got to use conditioners, you've got to use moisturizers, you've got to use all sorts of other things to compensate. So this is a water softener. This is what provides that luxury water. And we at the moment we're selling these really very, very well. Every single house in Namibia is putting in a water softener at the moment. And we're really penetrating, even in Gauteng, a lot of people are now considering one of these, a water softener as part of the water treatment train.
So now that we've looked at water treatment solutions, I just want to take you through a summary of, from your water meter, what water treatment solutions we can give for households, for buildings, for your sites.
So there you can see the full water treatment train. BWT also famous for adding magnesium to their water. That's why their Formula One cars are pink. It's that magnesium that gets, they've got a unique patent which allows you to extract the calcium out of the water and to release magnesium in the water. And this is why BWT is so popular with the coffee industry, is because that magnesium is a taste carrier. If you have a coffee machine at home, and at the end of the evening I'm going to give you a jug filter so that you can do your own test at home. Fill that water with the magnesium mineralized water and taste the difference in the coffee. The barista, the award winners all know that magnesium is vitally important to make the coffee taste at its best. Not only just to remove the chlorine and the heavy metals and things like that, but to add that magnesium which makes the water, the coffee taste absolutely magnificent.
Okay, now we're going to look at a case study that was carried out by one of our franchisees, in which they took water and they got their water tested at Aquatico. They received their results and they identified 3 problems with the water. They had a hardness issue, too many nitrates in the water, and there was corrosivity in the water. So if we were to take a look at these, as you can see, even though the nitrate level was below the SANS limit, they decided to remove their nitrates out of the water purely because of the negative impact it has. Total hardness, as soon as your water goes between 120 to 150 milligrams per liter, that is considered hard. So as you can see in the sample, 235 was their level of hardness.
So a lot of people with the problems they're having in Gauteng have decided to are going off the grid because they're having constant water outages, and there's constant problems when there are water outages. Remember, our water reticulation system, especially in Johannesburg, a lot of areas where the water reticulation system needs to be replaced. All that's happening is they are actually patching up and fixing up the piping where there are leaks. But they're not replacing the water pipes. You saw a couple of pictures of the piping, what it looks like after many, many years because of the rust and all the contaminants that build up inside the pipes. So a lot of people are going off the grid. They're choosing solar, and they're also looking at installing a water treatment system for their home. They're drilling their own borehole, and the next slide will show you exactly what a house in Sandton did to take their groundwater and make it into potable water, free of all contaminants.
Here's the process layout of that exact water analysis after the problem was identified. So I'll take you through the process. In your first stage, you've got your AFM glass media, which is essentially your sediment removal. So that first vessel removes your sediments in the water. Your second unit is a video that we just watched of the Bevermat 75, and that softens your water. Next stage is your nitrate removal, which is an ion exchange resin, which ends up removing your nitrates in your water. The white tank is to clean the resin, so it's associated with your nitrates.
Brine tank.
Sorry, yeah, it's known as your brine tank. Your final large vessel is your remineralization vessel, which increases the minerals in your water to make it less corrosive. So finally, we would dose this water with chlorine just to prevent bacteria formation, and you can choose to remove that chlorine once the water goes into your house, suitable for drinking water at home.
So this customer spent 400,000 on his water treatment plant. Okay, some people don't blink; they just want to get off the grid. They've had enough. You know, they've had enough of dealing with the municipality. The water's on, water's off, all the brown water that comes, because what happens when they switch the water off, all the gunge, the pipes are broken, so the pressure is off, all the gunge starts going into the piping, and as soon as they switch it on, that brown water goes through it. You've noticed in your bath at times, brown water, milky water, and all sorts of problems when they're switching the power on and off. Remember, the water treatment plants are also dependent on the electricity to boost to drive the turbines that cause the pressure in the pipe. So when the electricity goes, they also have problems with their pumps. So a lot of people are just saying, enough is enough, I'm going to get off the grid totally, and here's my solution. This is what our analytical chemist Bronwyn Moore put together and recommended for that particular application.
What happens in a rooftop rainwater tank, in our JoJo tanks that collect rainwater? Usually there's a lack of safety and hygiene. So we're going to look at your stagnation, deposits, and heat. Stagnation is when the particles settle in the water, and it's a breeding ground for bacteria to grow. Deposits, contamination can be through airborne pollution, and heat. In summer, especially when it's very hot, it's ideal conditions for germs to breed and reduce the chlorine content, which reduces the disinfection capability occurring inside your JoJo tanks. So the perfect combination to prevent the formation of microorganisms in your water is to use ozone and ultraviolet as a combination, just to ensure that bacteria growth does not occur in your water. So we've created a system which couples the two together, which gets installed with your JoJo tank, with your rainwater tank. Sorry. In which, so you have your water exiting your rainwater tank, passing through your ozonator, as well as your UV light. So your ozonator and your UV light is that beam on the right there. And every 2 hours, there's a circulation which removes your bacteria in the water. And there can be a centralized unit installed in an area where you have 6 JoJo tanks installed. So you can ensure that all those JoJo tanks are free of bacteria and protect your pipes and also the drinking water.
BWT slogan is for you and Planet Blue. What their mission is to actually create bottle-free zones. Just have a look at this video. It'll explain exactly what they're so passionate about.
Water is BWT's business. Water is the elixir of life. BWT is proud to take care of the most precious resource in the world. Taking care of this resource made them one of the best and most successful companies, but it is not only about the numbers, the economical successes, it's also about the matter of responsibility. Water is our responsibility. People at BWT are on a mission to take ecological, economical and social responsibility. Water is a limited resource, which is shared by 7.5 billion people. It's a thirsty planet. When it comes to drinking water, more often than necessary, it is supplied like this. 250 billion litres every year, and every year this number is rising by another 5%. This brings us back to BWT's mission. Water is our challenge. BWT loves challenges, so they challenged themselves to reduce plastic waste to a minimum, not only in their offices. Using BWT technology, they created plastic bottle-free zones, Planet Blue zones, making BWT employees rightly proud of themselves. But isn't this just a drop in the bucket? Good point. So let's generate more drops. Many more drops. BWT will create Planet Blue zones in all their international locations. The management, the employees, every BWT ambassador will encourage and inspire others. Technology for Planet Blue zones will be provided to partner companies, international customers, other businesses, public buildings, schools and homes. With BWT technologies, everyone can have water the way they want. Hot, cold, still, sparkling and mineralized, without the need for plastic bottles. Water is our opportunity to turn this plastic planet into a planet blue. To make this planet a Planet Blue zone, please take care of my Planet Blue.
So that's what. Hello, testing.
Water is
Testing. Okay. So how do you create a Planet Blue zone? Let me just give you an example of a case study. If you look at this little water dispenser, when you design your buildings, we'd like you to factor in places in the offices, in the factories, where we can create water dispensers. We do not want the staff to use plastic bottles. Okay. City Lodge, in every single road, city, town lodge, has got several of these water dispensers. They chose it because it does sparkling and still water. They have a lot of clients from overseas, and the overseas clients love sparkling water. So Gia, just show you guys how to.
hope he's pouring that for me.
You thirsty, Joe?
I'll drink it after.
Unbelievable. You cannot get better. Beautiful magnesium mineralized sparkling water. And a lot of you have received a little stainless steel bottle. You'll notice it's not plastic. Okay, and that's what we want to achieve. We want to get rid of single-use plastic bottles. It's destroying our planet. It's destroying our rivers and beaches. And why this unit and not one with a bottle on top? In the kitchen right next door, it's a 6mm pipe. All you need is a plug point. This you can run 40 meters. You've got your water purifier at the back and you've got your CO2 canister underneath there. It can be just a countertop unit. You don't have to take the base. In some instances, the City Lodge just took the countertop unit, and because they had a cupboard underneath which the CO2 cylinders. The cylinders are the same cylinders that are used by Coca-Cola for their soda stream. So the hotels and the restaurants are used to getting CO2 for those units. And you've got My Gas, you've got Afrox that are delivering the nice thing, it's also got a cup dispenser, a built-in cup dispenser. If you open up there, you'll actually see the mineralizing filter as well as the CO2 cylinder. So it's very compact, beautiful, elegant, and everybody will absolutely love it. The City Lodge, they've normally put this right next to the ice machine. There are no plastic bottles in the fridges. They provide the client with either glass or a Lexan plastic, which is a BPA-free plastic multi-use bottle with their logo on it, so they get a bit of promotion, advertising as well. It's something they can take with them, and they have no plastic waste. Nobody has to deliver the bottles. There's no storage problems, and there's no waste. So I'm hoping that when you design your buildings, you factor these in, because all we need is a water point and a plug point. And also think in the factories, we've got a beautiful range of water fountains. The factory workers, they have to walk often long distances to get to the toilets, to drink water out of the toilets, and it's not hygienic. So rather put a water fountain in it. We now have a water fountain that has a lever, so that you can activate the bubbler and the glass filler with a lever. And you just have a foot pedal where you can actually activate the water. So, yeah. Gia, over to you.
And yeah. As you can see, here are some photos from the City Lodge group of the installation of the Aqua Drink 20. And thank you so much for listening to us. I will be sending these to you afterwards.
We open the floor to any questions. Thank you for being so patient. And let's see if you guys have any questions. Does it make sense? It does, eh? We take H2O for granted. In South Africa, we've been spoiled because the water quality has been relatively good. When I started the business in 1996, people thought I was crazy. I said, what are you doing? And I just, read a lot about the chemicals and the negative side effect of the chemicals. It was things like chlorine. When chlorine reacts with organic matter, it can form carcinogens. So rather get the chlorine out, get the heavy metals out. So that's where we started, just purifying the water. Now we've expanded the range with BWT's help to softening the water, to disinfecting the water, to removing the heavy metals, to clarifying the water with equipment. Any questions? Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for being with us this evening. I have a little gift here for you. Please follow the instructions carefully and then put that water into your coffee machine, and I promise you, you will not regret it. Okay, enjoy the H2O. Take care. Bye. David, you want to help me hand these out?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Jugs, jugs, jugs. Here you go.
The bottle.
Here you go.
Thanks very much.
It's only a pleasure.
Small bottle.
Yeah.
I'll get you one.
Here you go. I'll give you a silver bottle. Here you go. You got it?
The booklet.
Here we go. It's a pleasure. Enjoy. Here you go. Enjoy, enjoy. There we go. John. Cheeky.
I'll have three, please.
Nice. Enjoy, hey?
Thank you. I can give you my
There you go.
Thanks, G.
Pleasure, pleasure.
Can I get one full rock
I'll get the
as
silver
well?
bottle for him, David.